Okay, so this is a huge disclaimer before we get into talking about this episode. This episode is gonna talk about suicide, depression, and so I know that's a touchy subject for a few people, me included, right? So if this is gonna be too much for you, um, I Got My Smile Back might not be the best song to listen to, but it does bring up some good points about the life after you get over this hump in your life or you get through these obstacles in your life. And so that's something I would say that if you are, it shows you that you don't, when you're in those situations, you might not think there's a life past it, but there is. Um, and I Got My Smile Back as part of that, like part of somebody else's reality, but that can also be some part of your reality once you get through it, right? But there are suicide hotlines in different countries and different states, um, in different provinces that you can reach out to, or reach out to me through social media, and I will reach back to you in a timely manner or when I see it, because this mental health is something that I worry about, right? Like, it's something I worry about the health of others, because there are things in situations that we've seen recently that there you could always reach out to somebody, because there is always something that can be done to help a person that doesn't feel like they are going to be helpful or that they're worth anything. And so I know this is long enough, but this is my disclaimer, because that topic is so close to my heart. But this is a disclaimer. I'm sorry if put anybody in a bad mood. I hope this episode doesn't keep you in a bad mood. But I just had to get it off my chest. So okay, so Stormy just released an album called "This Is What I Mean," and this is what I mean. I think if you ask me the question of what does that mean by, what does Stormy mean by that, I think we run into the same question, because when I heard it, we've heard Fire Babe and then Hide and Seek. So we heard all of this before the album dropped. It was rumored that Tim's was working on it, and Debbie was working on it. So I'm just gonna assume people don't have background information on Debbie, Tim's, and we're gonna say Stormy, but Stormzy is making this album, so we assume you have some knowledge of him before I go into this. But as I said in the show, we're not gonna assume anything. So Stormy is a UK artist, mostly rapper, that talks about his emotions, and he grew up in that scene of like a grime rap culture in the UK. Thames is more of an R&B artist rapper. Well, she has an amazing voice vocally, so that's why when I heard Fire Baby before this album dropped, I thought this was gonna be a kind of love song of Stormzy's for his fourth album, titled "This Is What I Mean," and I think I got a little bit of that. And Debbie is a newer artist in the UK. She is slowly coming to fame. Most notably, what she's known for currently is being featured on Stormy's album "Lil Debbie." This is what I mean. But Debbie is her name, so we're gonna talk about this from a different perspective. But let's see if we have any sponsors, and I'll get right into some information about this. So actually, in this episode, we're gonna talk about Stormzy, but we're also gonna talk about these songs. And these songs are, the first song is "Fire and Water." "Fire and Water" is 8 minutes and 17 seconds, which I know it seems like a very long song, but he talks about the progress that they make in a relationship. That he's saying, he points certain situations out. For example, he has this line saying that if your love is holy water, then let me drown in it, because he wants to fall in love and drown in the emotion of love, which a lot of people do at some point do. So I understand this that this kind of concept that he takes on. He says second guessing is human nature, but second guessing comes in a second thought. and he just says, I'm not here to stress you. I'm just trying to bless you." Which, and he says it takes two fires make a flame, and that old thing of two dwindling flames were meant to be, two soul flames were meant to be. I get why he's saying that. Like, that is very, um, it makes more sense hearing it overall, and I think I do like this a little bit better. The This song goes a little bit longer. As I said, it's an 8 minute song, so he talks about that I'm not the guy that you left me with, right? Like, I'm not that guy that we broke up. When we broke up, I'm a different guy. I changed. I evolved a little bit, found maturity a little bit, which people will say that guys don't become mature at 25, and that's a stereotype, but it's a weird thing. He says now he said these kids nowadays are just so focused on their phone. I don't. What do I know? What do I know? What do I do? Right. So I think the reference is he's saying that everyone's caught up in social media. So what do I know? Like, what do I really know? And vocally, vocally, Debbie carries this because she says, "Call me water." Um, Call me water, and Stormy says, "I'll give." She says, Debbie says, "Call me water, give me everything. Take no caution in muddy waters," which to some extent they're building on this connection between these two artists, and it builds a story, and with this being the first track on the album, it's it's sweet because Hide and Go Seek was about a relationship trying to build itself. Fire Babe was about love and affection, and so I get the concept he's trying to make here. Like, this concept doesn't is not something I'm gonna miss. Like, this concept is what I assumed it would be. Now the lead single is "This Is What I Mean." What I mean is a third song, but it's 5 minutes and 26 seconds long, and he just talks about things that they're gonna let slide and sauces, and that he mentions this thing about the stars that it all looks like the stars on a Rolls Royce sunroof, like the famous sunroof that Rolls Royce has, where it has a constellation of the stars. Um, but he's saying all his guys have that because this is a big operation, so everyone's getting paid. And to some extent, I get that. It's a weird thing to me. Like, this next song, he says Mel and I um got into fashion, and if see the thing is, Melv is his fashion designer, which in the song he does that is 7. As long as he says Melv made me do it, right? And Melv made me do it might have been the lead up to this album, but Melv made me do it did really set this tone, and this is why I get this line. He says, I am. He says he referenced Harry Styles and saying that he's making the money that Harry Styles is making, which I can't argue that that's not true, because Harry Styles makes millions and Stormy seems to be making millions in a bigger as he said, his career is a bigger operation, and how he divides his back up. And Debbie's vocals on here, so there's a guy that's vocals on here. I'm not sure if that's Mr. Jacobs' vocals on here or Debbie's vocals, but Debbie's vocals do carry throughout this song. He says that dude that he's doing numbers, right? Like, he's doing numbers, and without a doubt, he's doing 17K, and he's on 200K on one of these songs before it, and so we get it. Like, he's doing numbers, and it's only been out for a day or two. So I get what he's saying, right? He says, "What do y'all expect?" He said, "When you gave me an opportunity, what did y'all expect? I know I was gonna make some money off of this," and he made money. He made money. He made millions. Which is weird. They said Stormy also says that he pays 50 grand. I think that's the total he's saying. He's saying it's 50 grand if he misses a flight. I think when he's saying flight, I think he means like the private jets, the private plane industry, because they are known to charge people outrageous prices if you aren't, if you miss that flight, because you booked. He says cap on the internet, just cap away, and That's funny to me because it's a clever play on words, right? And then he says, "I'm Kanye mixed with Hathaway," and so and it's crazy because I think what I think Stormy is saying in his line is that he speaks his mind, right? But he keeps it so tight when he says it, or he says it so lyrically and metaphorically that it comes off halfway, right? Like that's a crazy line to like hear and actually go through. All my enemies dead and buried, which he says, "Now I just want some Tom and Jerry's." Look, um, it's not as big in the States, but Tom and Jerry's in the UK, of course, or Europe, they are known to they're known to be like one of those things that you just happen to pick up because it's like an icon of the country, right? Like it's it's a thing that just happens. Please is 2 minutes and 54 seconds, and this song is just well, it doesn't seem like it's Stormy directly. He's just saying please, 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 And Stormy says, "Can you lower your tone? Leave Megan alone." Okay, okay. So if you ask me, this could be about the allegations that Stormy was messing with one of his exes again. Or this could be him talking about the royal family and Meghan Markle, which I know he has tight connections with certain people, and I don't know which is why I say that in the most typical way that he says please give me power to forgive my dad, which we understand. He's trying to. He says, "But get off my phone," lower your tone, get off my phone, and it seems like he's almost understanding that he went through a lot of regrets in life, and he's saying, oh please," and that's what I'm saying. This album is very consistent in what I'm saying, because in that last line he says, let it free you of regrets," and to some extent I do like this. "Need You" is another song on this album that is 3 minutes and 17 seconds long, and he just said, Debbie and him trade vocals, which I think is great. He's in his mind, he just cannot explain love and why he's falling and why she's falling for him. Like this is a classic love song that isn't like a bad thing. Like it's definitely weird. Okay, I will give you that. It is definitely weird to hear. He says my presidents are black, which I get it, because he has made the attempt to kind of point out the UK's idea of like the black culture. He says that we are culture, right? Like we are culture, like British. We'll go African descendants of African descendants of Africa or African people or indigenous people. Look, he says my president is black, like Rick is black, and Jackie is back, which I think Jackie is it has a weird double entendre to it because I know the prime minister was but he says the war is broken. He talks about trying to fix the schools. So they teach about like the sense of Africans and what the crown has done to it, which to some extent we get. Like he's trying to let it be taught in schools, and to some extent they never like it never like I don't think in any schools it's been taught very well decently enough. So I think that's what he's also pointing out, right? He also says that he wants to. This is his war song. This is his war cry, and he's just trying to break down all the stereotypes. He says all the myths, but I'm gonna say they're all stereotypes. He says, "I'm gonna party through the BS," and this was just God design. This was God's design to pray and try to. He's built in God's design, which I'm saying. This is something that I didn't think I was ever gonna hear from Stormy, right? And to some extent, people are gonna be like, "Well, that's a little biased." It's not. Holy Spirit is 6 minutes and 42 seconds long, I believe. We have uh we have Debbie's vocals. What do you have for me? And Stormy talking about how the Holy Spirit helped him because his burdens were so heavy at the time. Hold me close, hold me closer. And I found God to hold me closer, and please surround me to help me carry the heavy burdens that I carry. And to some extent, I do like this. Like he says, he needed he needed that for to renew his faith, and he was searching for Jesus. Like this is a this album can go. And he talks about the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and I know I don't I don't like to force religion or talk about religion because I'm not very sure on people's perspective on it. So I'm gonna leave that song. But if you want to listen to that song, is great on the album. Bad Blood is another one on this album that's it's so weird to it's catchy, right? Like it just talks about he makes reference to Noah's Ark in the song that I think you know that it's kind of needed because of the way that he's expressed himself, right? And he says at the end that I'll keep all my promises I made to you, which is sweet. I think that's the best thing we can hope for. And then he says, I got my smile back, which he got a smile back is something like the deep stuff. Like when he was talking about he's been free of depression for a while. Him and thoughts of suicide were something he battled, right? And I say this because many people don't talk about it. Many artists, mainstream artists, do not talk about the struggles that come with, depression or like suicidal thoughts. And he says that he holds a Bible study at his crib every once in a while, It's so weird. He said Jehovah will send me like this. It's so weird, and it's to understand like it's so relieving to hear this from Stormy, but at the same time I understand why he did it. Like this is very great to hear. Like this. So overall, right? So overall, people are gonna say, "What is my opinion on this?" Overall, and this is gonna be hard for me to say, but it's a 9 out of 10, right? Because this has so much context to it. It doesn't feel like a long album. There are 8-minute songs, there's 6-minute songs, there's 3-minute songs, there's 5-minute songs, and they don't feel long at all. Like they're very connected to the point. They all tell a story, whether that's about God, Jesus, his thoughts that he has been dealing with the suicide for a while. Like overall, this is a great album. Now this might be the only 9 I give out throughout this whole year, but this year coming to an end and next year coming, but this song right here is a solid 9 out of 10, 8 or 9 out of 10 for me, because clearly the picture makes sense. It's a decent sized album. He gets all his points across, and I love that in an album, right? And I'm going to put this in the front of this episode, but I do want to say, if you're dealing with depression or anything mental health wise, because, there has been a rise in it, but there's always been a rise in these things that people don't take seriously, right? So I do want to say this, and I'm going to try to say it in the best way I can say it, right? There are things in your life that you just can't control, and you feel like the world's against you. That's not entirely true, right? Like it feels that way at the time, but over time you will get through it. You'll get over it, right? And this last topic is very close to me, and every time I hear it in an album, I make a point to talk about it. That's suicide, right? Because it's very close to my heart, right? Because and we're going to get out this religion stuff for a while, because people say, well, that's the cowardly way out. No. That's a way people think they feel at ease, right? And that's something that not many people can understand. Not many people will understand your grief at that time. Nobody will understand why you want to do it, right? But the legacy you leave behind you is the way that you're going to be able to get through it. Because I promise you, there's somebody dealing with the same situations that you're dealing with, right? But I don't feel okay saying, don't so this is my thing. I hate that the objective of it is that suicide is selfish, right? Like People have their reasons, and so I would just say talk to somebody. Please talk to somebody. There's a suicide hotline. There are ways that ways that people can help you. Like, and there's things that can be handled to make sure that you have the resources that you need. And so, no matter where you are, and if you are on that depression or suicide kind of thought process, please, hey, reach out to me personally on my social medias that are listed. But like, even through email, like, I know it feels like you're alone, but you're never alone. I promise you, there is somebody that's going to help you, right? So, this took a dark turn, and but the album is a 9 out of 10. But it's just that's a very touchy subject for me, so I have to talk about it.
Okay, so when I specify that it's a 9 out of 10, I think it's because of the message, of course, but I think it's also because of the way, just of the way it's put together, the storyline of it. And I think the storyline to me is very important. Besides the lyrics themselves, they have to, this an album has to paint a picture, and I think he did it the best, and that's why I said this may only be the only 9 out of 10 album I ever give a 9 out of 10 to. So I just want to clarify that.